I mean, he's pushing funds towards education and homing for Black Americans, school of choice, which is incredibly non-racist. This man has disavowed the KKK more than 40 times. It's just nothing he's done is racist. But I think that buzzword is something because he has a very colorful way of speaking. And I don't agree with everything the president says or does. No one should agree with someone 100%.
Right.
Does he say some things where I go, oh, I cringe sometimes? Yeah. But having met this man, having been invited to the White House, having seen his love for this country, you cannot say anything that will dissuade me from knowing that Donald Trump cares about all Americans, regardless of their race, ethnicity, background, religion. He cares about freedom.
You know what, guys? I'm starting to think that the far illogical left has taken things too far. Okay? Walk away, Blexit, Lexit, Jexodus. These are all growing groups of people fleeing from modern day liberalism. Now, I recently interviewed one of those people who did just that and survived to tell her story. And recently I interviewed Joy Villa. Joy is an American musician as well as an author who says she escaped from liberal feminism to become a freedom-loving Trumplican. In her new book titled Kick-Ass Conservative, she goes over how and why she did that. Now, I don't normally curse, but that is the title of the book. And you can tell from that title, as well as Joy's patriotically awesome sense of fashion, that she is certainly not one to hold back. Now, I've been reading Joy's book, and I gotta tell you, I'm really enjoying it. So it was no surprise then that I also enjoyed taking this interview for you guys to see. So I hope you're gonna enjoy it. We discussed things like the common misconceptions of Trump supporters, as well as why parents really need to stop freaking out their children over police officers, and also the hate that both of us receive from being visible minorities against the Marxist Black Lives Matter movement. So let's hop right into the interview, and don't forget to comment below and let us know which points you agree or disagree or what have you in the comments. Hi, Joy.
Hi.
As you can see from her book, Kick-Ass Conservative, she is an author, and she has been just lighting up the scene about your journey from escaping liberalism. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. It's so fun to be on here. And so I escaped from the liberal party, and I'm here in Los Angeles, and I'm in Hollywood, and I'm expected to be a liberal. I'm Black, I'm Latina, all of these things. And I was a liberal. I voted for Obama, and I was just disappointed in what was happening. But that wasn't enough for me to really step out until Trump started running. And a friend said, you should take a look at him. And I said, well, isn't he like racist, misogynist, homophobe, blah, 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 xenophobe, all these things, right? So I actually looked at it for myself instead of what the news was telling me, and I rejected the hate. I walked away, and now I'm on fire. I wore an infamous MAGA dress, Make America Great Again dress, to the Grammys in 2017. I have not stopped. I wore a Build the Wall dress the next day. I have not stopped next year, and then pro-life dress the year after that. I mean, I just keep going and going because I'm passionate. This year I wore a Trump 2020 red latex vinyl dress, which I also wore at the Trump campaign's rally, and which he thanked me from the stage for my work in Hollywood, which is incredible, and put me in his new campaign ad.
Look at that beautiful dress. And she wears that dress right through the middle of Hollywood, and everyone says, thank you very much. Beautiful. Like it.
So my journey has taken me from liberal artist all the way to Republican or Trumplican, as I call myself. And now I'm an author, and I've shared my story because a lot of people say, like, how does that happen? What's the journey, the highs, the lows, the smiles, the tears? And I make it really fun, and I think it should be sexy to be a conservative because I have a lot of fun. That's why I say I kick ass conservative. And in my book, I share more juicy details.
I got to tell you, actually, can you flip it horizontally, and then I'll ask.
Oh, okay. Yes.
That's my bad, too. That's what happens when I race around too much in one day.
Oh,
that's okay. So now you said the word. I love that you refer to yourself as a Trumplican. I think that's
awesome. I coined the phrase.
You did
come up with it, but I'm using it. So.
Yeah, you're using it, and you're using it well. So what do you think is the biggest misconception about Trumplicans?
I think the biggest misconception is that we're racist, which is I'm a woman of color, and it's a moniker, right? Racism that has been put upon people who simply want to support the country. And there are racists out there, which I wholeheartedly reject. Racism does exist. I reject that as something that is a way to run a country. Absolutely not. But if you look at Trump's record, he hasn't done one thing that is racist. You know, he allocated more than $1 billion for revitalizing Black the Urban Revitalization Act, which is Black neighborhoods. He allocated more than $1 billion towards historical Black colleges and universities. Speaking, and I don't agree with everything the president says or does. No one should agree with someone 100%.
Right.
You know, does he say some things where I go, oh, I cringe sometimes? Yeah. But having met this man, having been invited to the White House, having seen his love for this country, you cannot say anything that will dissuade me from knowing that Donald Trump cares about all Americans, regardless of their race, ethnicity, background, religion. He cares about freedom. So I think it's the total opposite. Being called a fascist, I've been called a Nazi, I've been called the N-word multiple times from liberals who simply think that just because I think for myself as a Black woman, I should be put down. And I hate that.
Absolutely. And I share some of that with you. It's funny because this year I've received the most racial slurs in my whole life. 2020.
No.
It's supposed to be this time, you know, the Black Lives Matter movement, and I'm getting called bootlicker and race traitor. And for me, it's not even usually Black people. It's usually like white liberals.
White liberals think they own us, and they call us names.
Exactly.
I had a white liberal scream in my face who was a supporter of Black Lives Matter. He actually attacked the group I was with in St. Louis, Missouri, just a few days ago, and he screamed in my face, Drea, saying, "You're oppressed. You're oppressed."
Wow.
F you, F you, F you. You're oppressed. And I'm like, nobody's oppressing me right now except you.
It's mind-boggling. I have a huge issue with the whole we're oppressed just because of our skin. When we live, it's happening here, in case you didn't know. We have a lot of this going on in Canada too.
Wow.
So it's the same message is being said in lots of places in the globe. And, you know, I have kids and I raise them to think that they can achieve, you know, by working hard and being, you know, a leader.
But you're a good mom. You're telling your kids have morals, have integrity, take responsibility. It's not about the color of your skin. And people who raise their kids, especially Black moms and dads who raise their kids, say cops are going to hate you, America hates you, it's racist. They're committing child abuse. Because if you tell me as a child, I'm the most. Children are like sponges. They'll absorb anything you give them. I love kids. I want to have kids one day myself, soon, hopefully. And, you know, kids absorb anything you tell them. And if you tell a kid you're going to be successful, you're bright, you're beautiful, it's not about the outside color of your skin, but what's the content of your character, like what Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, then they will grow up knowing that. If you tell kids everyone's racist, they're going to hate you based on something you can't control, they're going to grow up thinking that that's true, and they're going to act accordingly.
Yeah. And what's interesting about that is in certain communities, part of the problem was the distrust for police officers to begin with. I mean, you know, no one says who's doing the murder, whether they know who did it or not. And then the cycle just keeps repeating. So to be teaching these young kids that, you know, they're out getting hunted by police officers, you know, just shooting basketball. It's frightening. So
it is.
The whole Black Lives Matter movement, where are you with it? Because I'm just at the point of, you know, I see churches that are, you know, promoting it on their billboard.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
I hate it. It's Marxist.
Yeah.
It's violent. They are burn, loot, and murder. That's what BLM to me stands for. And I've always and always will believe, just as I know you believe, because we are Black lives, that Black lives matter. Our lives matter. But you cannot put a blanket statement like all police are evil. That's just as bad as saying all Black people are criminals. So the extremities, the extreme, the hyperbole that goes through this narrative that police are killing us, and like you just said, you know, you can't be a Black man in America, play basketball, and you're going to get murdered. It's a lie. And I just organized a prayer, my first Back the Blue prayer circle. I'm a Christian. We had all different religions, all different people praying and paying respects outside the hospital where 2 police officers have been brutally not murdered, thank God, they were still alive, but shot in the face.
Oh.
And one was 20, 21 years old. He was a kid himself almost. And he was released from the hospital yesterday, but it's going to take a long time for him to recover. And the other officer, her jaw was shot off and almost off, and she's a mom. She's laying in the hospital. Black Lives Matter a few days ago came out to protest them and say, we hope you die.
I hope they die, mother.
They're in Compton, California. I said, I cannot do this. I got off the plane. I was just in North Carolina a few days, one day back in LA, then, Minnesota a few days, 12 hours back in LA, Utah a few days, and all my way back from Utah, I said, I got to do something. God put it on my heart. So in 2 days, 48 hours, I didn't get permits. I organized a group. We had about 40, 50 people come out. We had a microphone. We prayed. We sang. I passed the mic to other people so that they can show their support. We had Rhonda Kennedy, who's running for Congress in Ventura, a Black conservative woman, come out and bring her team. We had Eric Early, who's running against Adam Schiff out here in LA, conservative, incredible guy, come out and bring his team. We had Joe Collins, who's running against Maxine Waters. He's a Black former Navy officer. So we had all the support. And we weren't here to protest Black Lives Matter. We weren't here to be political. We were here to pray and support the officers, because police officers are being brutally attacked for something they didn't do.
It's disgusting.
And it's become anger and hate. And I want to combat the violence with prayer and love and conversation. If we don't communicate on these issues, then we're never, ever going to reach a flat point. And I invited Black Lives Matter activists to come on out, but nobody else showed up.
Yeah, did they? Well, they're not the best activists at articulating their side of the story to someone who, is asking, what are you standing for? Why are you here? It's a lot of calling and things like that. And the violence. I just saw a statistic that over 500 of the BLM protests have been violent. Well, that's ridiculous. Obviously, there's some peaceful protesters, but at some point, if you're not for the violence in these communities, in Black communities, if you're the founder of Black Lives Matter, why aren't you speaking out? Why are you not saying...
They need to condemn this.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
why are you not?
Drea?
And they always say silence is being complicit. So what's their excuse for this? They want it. That's my opinion. So... I'm just tired. They want it
because when people have talked to them, they say we want to topple the system, we want to burn it down. There was a gentleman on Fox News who said we want to burn down the system, either figuratively or directly. I mean, it's insane. The insanity has just been insane, and they've just been promoting a violent rhetoric, and they don't care who they hurt. In Minneapolis, Minnesota, I was just there a few days ago with Calvary Chapel Church. Did a beautiful event called America Bless God. Shout out to Pastor Chick and his wife Kimberly. And they're in St. Paul. We went into Minneapolis, Twin Cities out there, and 1,500 businesses were burned to a crisp in an immigrant neighborhood filled with, now Ilhan Omar is the congresswoman out there. And in the neighborhood that most of these businesses have been burned is an immigrant neighborhood, Somalian and Ethiopian. These are Black people coming from Africa to come here to make a better way for themselves, and everything's been demolished. I mean, there's pits and holes where they used to be. The mayor told the police department to stand down, so the police department got burned down. You can't even protect your own citizens in your area. They come from a war-torn nation to come here for freedom. They start businesses, they have families, they go to church out there, and it's absolute chaos. I mean, they're thugs and they're bullies, Black Lives Matter, because otherwise they would have stood up and said, no, this is an immigrant Black neighborhood and their businesses and their people matter. But it's not about that. They want Louis Vuitton purses. They say it's reparations. It's disgusting.
So now you tell us, you're right in the mix and over there. Is this representative of the Black people there, or is there a silent majority that we're not seeing speak out right now?
Oh, yeah. In America as a whole, this is definitely not representative. In Los Angeles, you would think it is, but people are bullied into silence out here. I live in Hollywood. I live in Los Angeles. I work in Hollywood, which is a figurative place and a literal place. And in both ways, it's extremely suppressive, extremely destructive to individuals out here. Our churches are closed. Our gyms are closed. 12-step programs are all closed down, and yet liquor stores and pot places and abortion clinics have stayed open. So Governor Newsom, when I walk around out here, I don't know if I can find it. I hate the mask mandate, but I have a mask that says "Recall Newsom," and I walked into the store. Yes, I said "Recall Newsom," and I walked in the store, and this tall white guy goes, "Let me ask you a question." I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Why do you want to recall Newsom?" And I said, "Well, why wouldn't you want to? First of all, high taxes. It was 2 weeks to slow the spread. Now it's been 6 months. Over vaccination. The city has gone to crap. There's overpopulation of homeless people around, expensive $1 million homes and apartments that are $4,000 a month. I know because I live there." And I just said, "That's it." He goes, "Well, are you native to California?" I said, "Yes, I am. I was born here." And he just goes, "Well, I think he's doing a good job." I said, "Then you're not paying enough attention." And I walked away from him. I mean, he was speechless because here's a strong, independent Black woman saying, "Recall Gavin Governor Newsom."
Yeah.
And everybody thinks, "Oh, he's doing a good job." No, he's not. He hates Trump. He hates this country. He gets more money. They get money from the federal government the longer they stay locked down. And where does that money go? Not to fix schools or street corners or anything. So Black people see that. They're starting to wake up, and they're going to vote for Trump. They're going to vote Newsom.
I was going to ask, what do you think is going to happen? So you think Trump's going to win?
I know he's going to win by a landslide. I mean, I've been all around this country campaigning personally, not getting paid to campaign, just doing book signings and events. And now I'm doing prayer circles. And everybody comes out is like, "This is the biggest fight of my life. And this is the biggest fight of our lives. And this country needs it." And they're so passionate. I'm passionate about it. If I can I have over 1 million followers on all my social media networks combined. If I can use that just to be a voice in this movement, then I will do it. We have Walkaway who's fighting for it, Lexit who's fighting for it, Lexit, all these different groups have come up because we're sick of the hypocrisy of the left. And I think a lot of Democrats, a lot of Black Americans who are registered as Democrats are going to actually vote Republican. A lot of them they're going to not change their affiliation. They're not going to tell people. They're going to kind of secretly
They're just going to do it. And I was thinking that too. I was thinking of, it would be funny if someone did a skit or something where they're like, "Oh yeah, Trump's out." And then you see what they actually do, right? And they're voting.
Yes, exactly. And because I remember when I voted for President Trump in 2016, I'm going to vote for him again, of course. I was quiet about it.
Yeah, exactly.
I put the I vote sticker. But then I was like, #Trump, #Hillary, I was like, there was this thing flying around that was like, "Oh, if you win, don't gloat. If you won, don't gloat. If you lost, don't despair. Let's unify." And I shared those namby-pamby little BS messages out there. And listen, I'm about unification. I do not hate Democrats. I don't hate someone who supports Black Lives Matter. But I hate what these Marxist, socialist, evil corporations have done.
They're tearing us apart and they're intolerant. So it's all about being together and freedom of speech, all of those things. So I'm really excited. I can see that you're very passionate. Joy, it's been a blast chatting with you. Now, where can people get your book?
So people can go to joyvilla.com and sign up for the newsletter. They'll get 20% off of my book, Kick-Ass Conservative. That's joyvilla.com. Or you can go on Amazon, and it actually hit number 4 on the Amazon charts.
Awesome. And will we see a taste of some of the things that we talked about today in there?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You're going to see all of the things we talked about because this book is my name. It is my story, and it is my life.
Isn't Joy great? And do you agree? Are we going to see Trump win the next election? Drea Humphrey for Rebel News. Here at Rebel News, we tell you the other side of the story. And let me tell you, a powerful Black Latina who calls herself a Trumplican is mainstream media's worst nightmare. Now, if you want to see more videos like this, make sure you hit subscribe and the bell. But if you want access to exclusive news reports from Rebel News, as well as also be supporting our independent journalism here, please head to rebelnewsplus.com. We appreciate your support.